This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach. Mate, how you doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm not too bad. We won a game the weekend. Can't complain.
Yeah, flying high, mate. 12 games unbeaten, but today we're going to do something we enjoy doing and looking through and taking a moment to reflect on the rest of the league and see, where that puts us and how the rest of it looks, right? Lots of football happening all the time in the Championship. So nice to take the opportunity to look around at the wider league and see what's going on. And as I know you love, mate, I'm going to go reverse chronologically, alphabetically, otherwise known as the order it's on BBC Sport.
You're just going to do it the way that BBC Sport do
it. Obviously, at time of recording, we do not know what is still to be played with one game left in this game week on Monday night. But it's Pompey, so who cares is where we're at. They'll probably lose, gift 3 points. Happy days. Next up. So, starting on Friday, mate, a game that made headlines for all of the reasons, as Wrexham beat Swansea 2-0. And of course made the headlines because on Sky Sports Football you could elect to have the match coverage with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney doing the commentary.
It's just Rob Mack now, mate. He's made sure to change that.
Right, sure. Anyway, on commentary for the game, which was all right. I thought they were pretty funny. This is something we've got opposing views on, mate. So
I'll give you the floor. The problem is for a lot of people, it epitomises the complete commodification of football, right? Is that you've got two blokes that don't really know a huge amount who own a football club. Commentate, like if Drake and Solid came out and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna commentate on a Saints game," like. And again, it's because it's like Hollywood personalities, but it's the whole, between Snoop Dogg and Swansea City, and it's just like a lot of what people like about football is being taken away by the sort of injection of celebrities and people who are going to take the spotlight as owners, as opposed to just an owner being in the background and owning a football club. And you're seeing it with KSI has bought a team with the sole intention of rising them through the ranks to probably, get good TV out of it. And obviously Wrexham were the start of that. I'd argue that Sunderland were the start of it with their original documentary. But for a lot of people, it is it's just like the epitome of oh man, football is nothing but a product at this point. And I know that you're going to go oh, well, the commentary that they usually have is pretty crap. I'm like, yeah, but the point is there are people involved in the sport. This is just we'll just give anyone a go. And this goes to ourselves, right? I am aware that we are content creators for football, but we live in this space. And I find it bizarre when they start going, two lads that just talk about football every day, who are mates. Let's make them the commentators for the game. And I'm like, no. I think that people want to be able to listen to and as a one-off thing, it's funny, but you could 100% see a future where there's Tom Brady and these guys talking, and then Swansea and these guys talking, and then you get to a point where well, actually, what's the point of actual commentary? This does better. Also, my wife will listen to it, and it's just. Mate, and I know that you're it's gonna look. Let's have your take, but it just annoys me.
First of all, right, it wasn't the only option available, right? If you wanted to go and listen to the normal rubbish that Sky Sports dishes out, that was available on Main Event. That's an important distinction, right? But also, they were surprisingly knowledgeable about the game, right? They've been owners for long enough now to know enough to sort of carry it through with enough knowledge of the game. They pay attention. And for all of these owners that come in and don't do that, there's not something you could accuse these two of, right? then they also brought Ben Foster in for a large part of the game. Ex-footballer, ex-Wrexham footballer. Makes sense. They also had Ollie Palmer in the box at one point, ex-Wrexham footballer. And David Prutton, obviously the presenter of EFL and ex-Saint. So, they did what they could to mitigate their gaps of knowledge, right? But yeah, it was undisputedly an entertainment product and a piece. There's no denying it. But you're right, it was better than what Sky normally puts on, so that's why I've got no complaints, right? If you're going to do it, at least do it well, and do it in a way where, if you're a Swansea fan, you're not forced with that down your throat. You've got the actual coverage of the game, and that's fine. But
if that's the case, when they do broadcasting for foreign countries, and you'll have Adam and Joe, right? For example, we'll do our commentary, and people would prefer to watch that. And from abroad, it's one of the ways to access it. If you're going to have just out and out sort of commentary like that, make it available for both teams and have that all available rather than just sort of having this Sky commentary team. I don't have less of a problem with that, but it's the fact that they've started with a pair of Hollywood celebrities who, and yeah, you're right, they're knowledgeable about it, they get involved in this and the other, but again, it is just epitomising a lot of what people hate about football and a lot of what people hate about what it's becoming and what Sky are doing. And arguably, mate, the bills that we pay have gone to that. You think they did that for free? It's just not. Well, yeah, you might, maybe they did, but
mate, look, just... I'm willing to go out on a limb and state that even if money, or I don't know if money or whatever did change hands for it, but I suspect as a solid bit for their documentary, if nothing more, right? I could see that that's what they would put the effort in for. But you're right, and you're right. It's literally the Disneyfication of football, right? It's literally tailing it up as a product and selling it that way. But it was better than the alternative, which I'm sure will upset some people. But I mean, you'd want to talk about ways to bridge the gap financially between the Premier League and the Championship. And, how do you think you get more eyes on the Championship to make the Championship get that higher level of finance and buy-in than having ridiculous things like, if they'd have had the alternative available and had a Swansea set of commentary and they wanted Snoop Dogg on it, it's the same thing. It's
yeah. I would equally think that that's baffling. And you say that, mate, but you got to remember they don't want to be in the Championship. That's not the goal. And then they go up to the Premier League, and then all of a sudden, all this kind of noise goes away, and then they've achieved what they want to achieve. I get that you're going to have to eventually move with the times. I can empathise and understand why people think that it is a bit of a joke. And it is getting to a point now where you're right, the Disneyfication of everything is infuriating for most people. And
I get it, right? I fully get it. And I understand it's not going to be for everyone. And that to me is why it was important that, it wasn't the only coverage, right? Because I understand not everyone is going to enjoy that. But when it comes to offering more choices and more ways to watch things, I think I likened it with you to, we're both quite big NFL fans. I likened it to the Nickelodeon coverage of the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
No, if you watch NFL every week, you're not going to enjoy Patrick Star or SpongeBob hopping up and doing some sort of tactical analysis of the play or explaining the rules, but you're not the target audience for it. So
yeah, and again, that builds into not just the Disneyfication, and we can say this now, the Americanization of football, which is a thing that we've struggled to criticize in the past due to past commitments. We'll just leave it at that. But it's one of those things where it's frustrating for a lot of people, I think, and it's funny and it's a bit. If all of a sudden you got to a point where, again, this is the extreme end of the table, that probably won't happen. But all commentary at this point is just a bunch of influencers. Maybe they bring on an ex-footballer occasionally. all of the owners are just like a wackadoo cast of like multiple film stars and this that, and the other, and the whole thing is nothing more like, people will feel like the complete loss and lack of identity. And yeah, you're right, like some of these owners do care, and I think that they do actually care about Wrexham as the town and the community, but you're starting to, I don't really think that like Snoop Dogg is paying as much attention. I don't think he really cares about Swansea as much. Maybe that's me being, a bit cynical. Same with Tom Brady. Same with a lot of these kind of places. I just think that
Well, that's the
there's a lot of
important
upset for
difference,
people,
right? That's the important difference, right? Is because there are lots of owners that come in and have no connection, right? And we struggle with that to some degree because although Dragons, did that one interview in the summer,
That one
largely I
interview,
would
you're
say
right.
he is, like he keeps, the communication's an issue. But that's not what, in this particular instance, Rob and Ryan have done. If you go and ask any Wrexham fan if they are happy about the ownership, the way that they have gone about it is, it's the right way to do things. And sure, it's come with the cash injection, which is, just as anything, but also like they have built solid connections to the community and not like absolutely rinse their fans for, try to squeeze every penny out of them to bridge the gap, right? It's that context that's important. And that's, I think, why it's kind of the sensible. You're right. It's still the Americanization and stuff, but that stuff is inevitable.
But
I
this is
like
this
that
is this
it
is what
was
people are mad
offered,
about.
but look, I like that it was offered as a choice. It's not always going to be for everyone. I wouldn't watch every game like it, right? It was nice as a one-off, and I like that it was a choice. But I'm not saying that I'd sit and watch that as a way to watch football. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's nice that it's there to some degree, or it was fun as a one-off. And like I say, that's what you can take away because this was a Welsh derby, right? Swansea and Wrexham, but actually, was it really? It could have easily been Snoop Dogg versus Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mack in like a roast battle, and it'd be the same output for that market, right? It's yeah, but
I don't know, man. If all of a sudden we get SpongeBob and Patrick Star commentating like an Arsenal Man City game,
yeah.
people will say, and I quote, "The game is gone."
Well, right. Sure, right? But the people that will be saying that are not the target audience for that product, right? That is an effort to get kids into football. Now, like my son does grassroots football, and I go down to the local football facility, and I see how many people on a day-to-day basis are involved in playing football at a grassroots level. Football doesn't need that boost to kids yet, right? But there are markets that it wants to grow into. I'm sure that there are eyes that will watch things like Welcome to Wrexham that don't watch championship games. And so if you can put that out there as an alternative and get some of those eyes in, that's where you make the money. So it kind of makes sense. But that's the important bit for me is that it's as an alternative and not taken away from the 5-star coverage we usually expect from Sky Sports and don't moan about it at all.
I know. There's nothing you can do to stop it. I think that I just share the sentiment with many that like it is degrading it to a level where people will not be able to recognise it, and that a lot of people are against the idea of it becoming like NFL, and it feels more and more like that as the years go by. And
But if you don't think that within the next 5 years that the championship playoff final comes with a halftime show, you're kidding yourself. Like,
but are any other games this
anyway,
this week?
Wrexham pick up the win in the game
In the Welsh derby that had nothing else going on whatsoever.
against the run of play, it's fair to say Swansea had huge amounts of the ball, huge amounts of shots, huge amounts of opportunities.
Much to our detriment also.
2-0, to our detriment. Potentially, I mean, other games and other results in this weekend might have brought other teams closer to us. So But in the current affair of things, where chasing down Wrexham is the easiest target, 3 points for them. But Saints team coming out and saying that they sat in the hotel at St George's Park and watched that together as a team on Friday night, and maybe that's some of the motivating force that puts in the performance that we get on Saturday. So I don't know if they were watching the Ryan Reynolds coverage. Let's put it that way. That is
mate, that's what I assumed you meant by that. Oh dear.
Right. Yes. Anyway, moving on. Early kickoffs. Coventry City 1, Southampton 2. We covered in detail and at length yesterday.
Very length.
Almost an hour. If you want to hear our thoughts and opinions on that, go back and give that a listen if you haven't already. Other early kickoffs. Middlesbrough 1, Bristol City 1. 97th minute equaliser from Bristol. For Middlesbrough dropping points in that chase down of Coventry in, what turns out with the result against us could have been, a real good boost to them, right? Within 5 points.
The Middlesbrough manager kicked off at injury time, and I just think at this point, there's no point whinging about that. We've had tight games where there has definitely been more added time on than there should have been that we've lost, and we have definitely had games where there's been more added time on than we should have won. If everybody, including our own team, stopped spending so much time wasting throughout the game, they wouldn't constantly have to add up and rack up minutes, would they? So swings and roundabouts, to be perfectly honest.
That goal from Bristol, though, incredibly against the run of play. In fact, was their only shot on target in the entire game. I know we hate XG and it not being a real stat, but it tells the story in this game of Middlesbrough with maybe the highest XG in a single game I've seen in a long time of 2.5 against the 0.3 of Bristol. The epitome of points dropped, really, is what you can feel from a last minute equaliser in a game like that. But good point for Bristol, keeps them in the mix. It keeps them in 14th.
Mate, at this point, that's in the mix again. There's still a couple of games. There's quite a few games left this season, and anything could happen. Yeah, okay, you've got to take into account form, but if you take into account form, Coventry City should have beaten us on Saturday and didn't. So,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's a good point for them. 2 points dropped for Middlesbrough, and in a time where the opportunity to take those extra points would have counted more so. And the last early kickoff on Saturday, Oxford 1, Charlton 1. Charlton again, 94th minute equaliser with a penalty.
Penaltino.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen it dubbed somewhere. Two low languishing teams not scoring goals from open play.
Yeah. But look, that is a point really that's not doing either team any favours. Both right down there at the bottom of the table in the mix. Charlton's sort of almost enough to put them out of it, but kind of close enough that it might still play, right?
Yeah, to be fair though, that 1 point for Charlton from a goal difference and points perspective means that Blackburn will need to get sort of 2 wins and they need to lose twice to leapfrog them, and even then put them on par. So I think that it is actually significantly better for Charlton, because if Oxford had won that game, it takes them out of it. But alas, they did not.
Yeah, look, a really tight battle at the bottom to see who's going to take those last 2 relegation places. Really, you'd say anything from 17th down, Preston down is in that danger zone, right? There's
pretty much
only one bad week away from falling down there.
You've got to feel bad for Preston as well, because at one point they were in playoff places.
Yeah.
It's a really big change.
The crazy ups and downs of the league, doesn't it? How
both them and QPR both were sort of in playoff places, and now as we're heading towards the sort of end of the season, we're really starting to see, some real big moves. But
And then moving on to the next game, Birmingham 1, Sheffield United 1. The Blades had a player sent off quite early on in the game, went 1-0 behind, equalised just before half time, and yeah, 1-1.
it's wild. I
Yeah,
always
not a
think
bad result to claw back a point when you're a man down, to be fair. But Birmingham will, I guess, feel like that's points dropped, especially, they're also in this mix, down in ninth now,
it's
4
like our
points
first
behind
game
us
against
after
Coventry,
that.
isn't it? Our first game against Coventry, red card. We should have gone on to win it, and then ends up being a draw at the end. So frustrating all round.
Yeah, and a point for Sheffield United in, I don't know, spotty form for them, but based on where they were early on in the season, 15th on 50 points, I mean, that's got to feel, I mean, at least they are out of that fight where they were much earlier on, right? Not where
Just
anyone
thinking of like the
started the
75%
season.
chance of them winning the league this year, that like supercomputer pad beginning of the season,
Yeah.
and looking at where they are now, and that's even with the additions of like Phillips and Bamford and a bunch of other players that Bamford, who's really been on form for them since he signed for them, and we almost went back in for Ings. I'm kind of glad we didn't, looking at his form for him. So
Yes. Crazy stuff. Moving on, Leicester 1, QPR 3. Man, Leicester, what? they, they are struggling at the moment, aren't they?
shout out to Roddy Edwards, who managed to score for QPR, ex Saint. But yeah, Leicester,
Goal and an assist, by the way.
it's I don't know what you say. Like they like draw, lost, draw, win. Thought they'd finally managed to get some momentum, just lost again immediately. I guess it's a lesson as to what happens when you have ownership that some small event can happen and it can switch the entirety of the way that your football club goes. The trajectory of winning the Premier League to potentially dropping down to League One in less than a decade is kind of insane, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and that, with the results around them, firmly pushes them down into 23rd place, with a fight on their hands to get back up after that points deduction. Huge win for QPR, though. 4 losses for them before this takes them up into 16th and kind of almost just about out of it. But yeah, absolutely massive result for them. And like you say, not one that you would put on the form sheets, but yeah, turned them
That's
over
what it is,
with
isn't
a
it?
job. Huge win in the context of the season for QPR. Next up, Millwall 1, Blackburn 2. Just another game with teams around us dropping points, right? Millwall would have been expecting to beat Blackburn. I would have
Yeah,
thought.
well, once you get a player sent off, it can go over two ways, right? Either is as Nathan Jones said, harder to fight against 10 men than 11, or alternatively, the team kind of collapses and the goals start going in. And obviously, it took them a while after the sending off before Blackburn broke through. But once they did, it didn't take long to get a second. Because at that point, you need to try and do something, or otherwise, that's it.
Yeah,
Wild, really. Sucks for Millwall. Couldn't happen to a lovelier team.
yeah. 2 goals in 5 minutes for Blackburn, turning that game on its head. But like you say, against 10 men, they had the run of the game, the run of play, 20 shots from Blackburn in that, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I jest. It's just one of those things where I can see currently the teams around us. We want them to drop points where it went right,
yeah,
to help ourselves. I think my only big fear with if we do manage to get to the playoffs, I think that my big fear would be coming up against Ipswich, which is why I'm almost hoping Ipswich manage to pip that second place, because I genuinely think from a mental fortitude point of view, we owe Middlesbrough. We owe Middlesbrough again. Like this is
I
a
saw someone on social media saying it would be fitting for Middlesbrough season to drop into the playoffs and then have Vinna Saz score the winner against them in the playoff final.
Probably be good for Finn as well, considering most people thought that he left and to a worse club. But it's I know that these are again pipe dreams of us just assuming we're going to hit playoffs. That might not be the case because again, it feels like we're due something at some point, and that's what we kind of thought Tuesday and maybe even Saturday. But we're hanging in there, whereas a lot of the teams around us are dropping points.
Yeah,
which is good.
Still mathematically less likely than likely, but the belief that the form we're on instills is where it comes from, right? But again, huge win for Blackburn. Again, fighting for their life down at the bottom. That pulls them out of the relegation zone by those 3 points specifically. So,
by the skin of their teeth.
Very tight at the bottom, and really anyone's guess at the bottom as to who will be going down. Very interesting stuff. Next up, Norwich 2, Preston North End 0. Again, good win for Norwich. Keeps them middle of the table, keeps their form running. That's 4 wins on the bounce.
One of the teams that I am actually worried about us playing against, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, one of the harder fixtures we've got coming up, I think. But we'll talk about that when we get to it for sure. But it's good win for them. Not great for Preston, slipping down the table. But you would think probably just enough to stay out of harm's way. I don't know, man. It's really tight down there. Their form falling off a cliff from the early stage of the season. 5 losses and a draw from their last 6. Not looking great for them. But next up, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 2. Man, Sheffield Wednesday, man. Like,
what do you say at this point?
What do you say? Yeah.
It took them a while to get there, but the result was the result that basically everybody expected.
Yeah. 16 shots, 6 of which on target for Ipswich, 33 touches inside the box against Sheffield Wednesday's 8. Just came there and peppered them, and, Wednesday did their best to hold off, but obviously already relegated Sheffield Wednesday, just looking to see the season out at this stage and have been for the longest time.
Very much just there on vibes, isn't it?
Yeah, and Ipswich picking up the points they'd expect to pick up, sticking in touching distance of that second place, with Middlesbrough dropping points. Only 9 points now between Coventry and Millwall in 4th. That top pack is it's not as clear cut as it could be, right? You think that there's sort of a decisive enough lead for Coventry based off the quality they've got to go on and secure automatics for sure, but I don't know, man. It's only like one or 2 bad game weeks of these like games in quick succession in a row away from the whole league flipping on its head, right? It's not as done and dusted as it could have been at this point.
It's kind of nuts that it's coming down to the wire as much as it is across the board, right?
It's the joy of the league, I think, is it's always pretty nuts. Stoke 3, Watford 1 next. Stoke looking to sort of hit back at the form that they were.
The season. All those, right? Stoke, QPR, Bristol, Preston, all teams that were kind of proper up there in the playoff spots, and then have sort of just fallen down into mid-table where we kind of predicted them at the beginning of the season. So it's like, I guess it's lucky that they had the kind of games they did early on, right? To be able to deal with what's come now, unfortunately.
Yeah. But look, I mean, Stoke getting that win, only 6 points behind us and only, 9 points off of those playoff spaces. You can't write that off. You can't
This
write
is also true.
them, Watford, Norwich, Swansea, all well in the fight. Like, again, one good week where you take 9 points and you're one of those or two of those other teams doesn't, and it's suddenly sitting a lot prettier, and it's still, crazy how close it can all become, and anything can happen as these fixtures get congested. It's solid win for Stoke against Watford, also in this mix, right? So against the team that, if that's their ambition to get to the playoffs, they're going to need to get the points against. But
Otherwise, that'd be two Still brothers fired in a year in the Championship. Come on, it's Watford, man. Like, what are they going to do?
It's very, very, feasible.
And also, former Saint Sam Gallagher scoring too. Let's never forget our ex-players.
And then last up, West Brom 3, Hull City 0, maybe showing that point in the week was better than it felt, especially feeling like we didn't really deserve it.
Clearly coming back to, trying to, they've realised where they are, they've realised what they've done.
Yeah.
They've had a complete merry-go-round of managers, including a little experiment from the MLS. And now they're back to what we'd kind of expect from them, right?
Yeah.
If you told me before the season, would West Brom beat Hull, I'd say yeah. If you told me a couple of weeks ago, I'd have said no, Hull will batter them. So fair play to them.
Of course, Hull having a man sent off in the 36th minute, not going to play no small part, but
Greg,
already,
remember, it's harder to play against 10 men.
Yeah, that is what they say. Specifically, one person said that one time. But yeah, West Brom's first win this year.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, their first win since the 29th of December.
That's
harrowing, right? They've not been on a good run at all. But yeah, solid win, much needed points, pushing them just about by the skin of their teeth out.
You got to feel guilty, feel bad for Oxford though, who've been absolutely fighting it the last couple of games to desperately try and get out, and then somehow West Brom out of nowhere claw a win. just keeping them at that bottom three, just not allowing them to even peep outside of it for a while,
Yeah.
But that's the way the league goes, though, doesn't it?
And that's it. And look, West Brom will be hoping to take that momentum and put in their fight for survival and try and make it slightly more comfortable than it is looking at the moment, because it is still, I would say, precarious. But yeah, it's a huge win for them. They will be very pleased with it. And that's it, mate. That is a whole weekend of Championship action, would you believe?
Dang, that's wild. It's and again, like that week that we had our best ever comeback win. The topic of conversation was some bloke's hair, and over a fantastic win over Coventry. Topic of conversation is Ryan Reynolds having a chat about his team.
Yeah.
Love it. Love modern football. I'm saying that like we're not part of the problem, mate. So hey ho.
Let's carry on flying under that radar at least a little bit, and keep doing what we're doing. But crazy week in the Championship. Still everything up for grabs, right? For most of the league. I think that mathematically speaking, as far down as 17th could still get playoffs, and as far up as 12th could still feasibly go down. So maybe even higher than that. Just insane with 9 games to play. Just why we love the league. Lots of last minute drama, lots of good stuff. Why we love it so much. So that's it, mate. That's all we got time for. Let us know in the comments on the socials any of your standout moments from the weekend and your opinion on Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mack doing their commentary. Was it for you? Was it not for you? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Look, feels like it's going to be a divisive one, so I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. because we don't agree, which is always a good thing.
It's fine.
Sports is good. I love
It's
it.
totally fine.
We are Daily Saints Pod everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, YouTube, everywhere. Hit us up. Let us know. And while you're there, why not drop us a like and a subscribe, because it goes so far to helping us out. We will be back tomorrow to preview our midweek action. Until then, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you then.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.